Good morning, Guardians. Briar Rabbit here. Today, I've been thinking a lot about the Dawning and a feature or a change that I suspect Bungie is making with this update that they're not talking about yet. And I suspect this based on some evidence that is, it's pretty thin. So with that in mind, let me talk about a weapon rebalancing update, a Sandbox update. Now, I suspect strongly that we're going to see a Sandbox update with the Dawning, update 2.5.0. I don't think Bungie is talking about this yet because they want to kind of keep it as a surprise, but on Tuesday, when the Dawning launches, my suspicion is we'll get some patch notes that come along with the Dawning that have weapon rebalancing changes in them. And why do I think this? Because, first of all, on November 4th, Cosmo was in the Bungie forums asking us for our opinions on what we'd like to see in a new Sandbox update, a new weapon rebalancing patch. What would the community like to see? And there was a lot of talk about it in early November. Everybody had an opinion, and a lot of them were really valid. Now, I'm not going to go over my opinions right now because, frankly, I've done it before. I did it in early November, and honestly, it's just too late anyway. Even if I had some amazing revolutionary idea, which I don't, it's too late for Bungie to do anything about it anyway. That update is in the box. It's canned up. It's ready to ship. It's coming on Tuesday. That's what I think. So unless I had some idea for a future weapon update, maybe in the spring update, I really doubt that it's worth even talking about at this point. So I do think that there is going to be a weapon balancing update, and I think that's a really good sign for Destiny. Right now, we have the shotgun meta, the much talked about shotgun meta, and a lot of people are unhappy with it, and that's valid. And I think that changing up the meta actually adds a lot of replayability to the game. There's a few reasons for this. One is, if the meta changes to weapons that you don't really have, maybe it's all of a sudden high impact auto rifles are top of the meta. A lot of people are going to be out there grinding for those high impact auto rifles. That's something that I almost automatically dismantle upon seeing because they're just useless right now. There's no reason to use them in PvE. There's no reason to use them in PvP. They just kill too slowly. So when I get them, I dismantle them and I don't even think twice. But all of a sudden, if they are on the top of the meta or even competitive, next time I get a shadow price with a god roll on it, I'm going to think twice about it for damn sure. So it adds a lot of replayability, just looking for those god rolled weapons if those god rolls are a different type of weapon. Instead of the super high rate of fire pulse rifles, all of a sudden there's a super low rate of fire pulse rifles. Imagine the changes that you'd make to your inventory. I think that'd be a lot of fun. It'd add a lot of reasons to replay PvE and PvP, hoping for that god roll. But it also just changes up the gameplay every time they do it. Every time they make a significant change to the meta, to the sandbox of Destiny, it just changes the way you play the game. Maybe before Rise of Iron, you were a big sniper, and then when they made the changes to sniper rifles, all of a sudden you're like, well, snipers aren't really working for me, so I'm going to learn to be a good shotgunner. These are the kinds of changes that they make to the game that can really refresh the game for you. Maybe all of a sudden fusion rifles are by far the most powerful secondary weapon in the game. Now you want to get out there and you want to find those weapons. So you find the weapon, you learn to use it, it adds replayability to PvE, PvP, and it adds some fun and some change of tactics in the Crucible. And that could really go a long way toward extending the lifespan of Destiny. Right now, a lot of Destiny players, I think, are really focused on Destiny 2, right? That's a long way away. That's still like 9 months away before we suspect we're going to get Destiny 2. Let's assume that it's going to be in September of 2017. That's still 9 or 10 months away. And that's a long time away. So for me, when I saw the Dawning for the first time, when I saw the reveal for the Dawning, I got really excited because it's kind of fulfilling a promise that Bungie made last year about the live team and how microtransactions would be funding this live team and we'd be getting free content on the back of the microtransactions. It's debatable whether you can actually call this free content. But if you don't spend any money on microtransactions, you're basically letting other people pay for the content for you, which is great. That's perfect. So this is kind of fulfilling that promise. I think that the spring update or the April update last year kind of did the same thing. But when we get events like the Festival of the Lost or the Festival of the Cost, like a lot of people call it, you know, that hurts the overall mood of the game or the mood of the player base, and you know, adds a lot of negativity. So hopefully the Dawning is a lot of fun. Hopefully we get that weapon balance. I'm strongly suspecting we are going to get it. You know, obviously I have very tenuous proof. I think that the fact that they're calling it update 2.5.0 is a strong indication that yes, it is going to be a bigger update than what we've gotten in the past over the last few months. It's not a 2.4.1, it's not a 2.4.2, it's a 2.5.0, which to me, it just kind of indicates that it's a bigger, stronger update than, you know, a 2.4 point something. That's very tenuous. Of course it is. You know, the fact that Cosmo was on the forums asking for weapon changes or what the community thinks should be weapon changes, again, very tenuous. It's very circumstantial. But, you know, I think these two things together indicate to me that, yes, we are going to see a weapon rebalancing, a sandbox update. And I think that would add a lot of value to the Crucible right now. And there's a lot of people complaining about the Crucible. Now, this isn't going to fix skill-based matchmaking. It's not going to fix connection problems. I mean, at the very best we can hope for, I think, is that Destiny 2 takes these things into account and makes some serious changes to the way that it connects players and the way that matchmaking is handled and how it's hosted and what takes priority. But I don't really think we're going to see a lot of changes to the way it works in Destiny 1. It's just too late in the life cycle to make big overhaul changes like that. But a tuning update would be really welcome right now. Maybe sidearms. Maybe sidearms are at the top of the meta. How fun would that be? All of a sudden the Trespasser is the god weapon that everybody's complaining about. How fun would that be? So yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Big weapon rebalancing. That's what I'm hoping for anyway. I think it would add a lot of replayability to the game right now. I think that's sorely needed in Destiny. Besides getting the strike scoring system, SRL, some new quests, having a brand new meta would really, you know, it would motivate players to get out there, play some PvE, get some weapons, get some packages, and hopefully get some god-rolled weapons in the new meta. And that's what I'm hoping for. So let me know what you guys think. Do you think there's going to be a sandbox update with the Dawning? Bungie's remaining silent on this. I suspect that if there is one, at this point, we won't know about it until we see the patch notes, until we actually see the proof in the pudding. And then, even once we see the patch notes, we'll have to go out and do some testing to see if the patch notes are actually accurate, which they haven't been in the past from time to time. So that'll be an interesting week or 2 weeks of just discovering a new meta. So that's what I think. I think we're going to see a weapon rebalance in update 2.5.0. I think we'll see patch notes come out on Tuesday, maybe even Monday evening, and they'll describe that weapon rebalancing, that sandbox update. But I'd like to know what you guys think. You think I'm crazy? You think I'm just making shit up? You think I'm pulling stuff out of thin air? Or do you think I'm onto something? You think that we're going to get that weapon balance? I really do strongly think this is going to happen. And I'd be really excited about it because, you know, whether or not you like the current meta, change is always fun. It's always fun to experiment with new loadouts when you don't know exactly what the meta is going to be. You know, when they say they buffed high-impact auto rifles, it's fun to go in there and say, all right, are these things worth it? If they buff mid-impact auto rifles, it's fun to go in there and say, hey, I've always liked this weapon, but it's never been top of the meta. Let me see if it's good now. You know, it's stuff like that that can add a little bit of replayability to Destiny that, you know, frankly, the game kind of needs right now. You know, we're sitting here looking at the Dawning, knowing that we're getting the strike scoring system, which I assume will work similar to the way Challenge of Elders worked. We're getting some newly revamped strikes, but, you know, strikes they're finitely replayable, in my opinion. You know, I've played the strikes a million times, and even if you make small changes to them, you know, it's basically the same strike. It's going to feel very much the same, one would imagine. So we'll have to wait and see on that, but adding strike scoring system should be fun for a little while, but I would assume it's gonna have about the same replayability rate as the Challenge of Elders did. If you put a lot of time into the Prison of Elders, the Challenge of Elders is gonna be somewhat less valuable to you. So I'm rambling at this point, so I'm gonna wrap this video up. Thank you guys very much for watching. Hit that like button if you liked the video. Hit subscribe if you're new to the channel, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.